On part 2 of this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to mirror UVs. We're also going to talk about the UV toolkit. We're going to see how the UV toolkit can help us unwrap UVs and also edit them. Let's get started. You're going to select faces. I'm going to go to wireframe mode. I'm going to look at the top view. Make sure that symmetry is not on. And you're going to select half of it. Make sure the grid is on to have reference in the center point. And you're just going to delete half of it. Make sure you get all these small pieces here. Now everything looks like it's deleted on one side. It leaves you half of the UVs that you created. So now all you have to do is organize this the way you want it to be. Since we deleted half of the UVs, we can actually increase the size of the UV shells. So go back to layout and you can get a closer size that you want. So let's say that we're happy with this layout. If you're not happy with it, you can always arrange it the way you want to. Personally, I would always arrange my UVs. I would not just go with the layout because the layout is not always the best results. You can always moving around and not waste all this UV space that's around here. But let's say that this was fine. Also, this is too close. You don't want it to be this close. But let's ignore it and say that this is okay. What we want to do now is select your model, do Control D. You want to open up the channel box and go to scale, press -1, and it's going to take the duplicated mesh that you have and it's going to put it on the other side. So for those of you who didn't understand what happened, Control D duplicates the mesh. And then I went up here to scale X, I did -1, and then inverted the mesh from the left side to the right side. Now we're going to take both of them, select them both, and you're going to combine them. Click combine here, and now everything is one mesh. Alright, now I have both sides here, but the problem is that they're not welded together. So if you click here, you'll see that it's still separate. What we're going to do is go back to top view. I'm going to do wireframe, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select the vertices in the center. And all you have to do is merge vertices. There you go. So now it should be merged. And you should have UVs cut right in the center also. So if you right click UV shell and you move this UV shell, you'll see that there's another one under it, and it's the right leg. So now you're going to be able to share textures from one side of the character to the other when you're texturing. If you're baking though, I would actually recommend that you take this here. Let's see. You take half of the character and you shift that half to the other side when you're baking. The reason I would do this is because sometimes when the mesh tries to bake and calculate the normal maps and the normal object space, it can mess up triangulations or any information, and it doesn't know which one to read. So it'll give you inverted normals or inverted AO, things like that. So taking one side and putting it on the other side while baking can help. It can help prevent those issues from happening. After you finish baking, you can always just move it back. Also, if you do make the head symmetrical in the UVs, I would not just leave the head like this. I would actually take it and I would unfold the head. This will give you a better texture if you do it this way. To fix this real quick, you can always go up here, UV shell, select the UV shell here that you don't want, delete it, click the other one, you can separate it, and you can Control D, again, scale X, -1, and then just combine it again. And just like before, come in here, I'm going to come into the wireframe mode, and I'm just going to weld these things together. You can smooth preview to see if it welded correctly, or you can just move it. Looks like everything's together. And now you're going to want to also weld the vertices back together with the body. And just press weld. There you go. Oh, go in here. I'm going to do it this way. Alright. Now you'll have the fixed UV. You can also sew this up if you want to. Come up here and sew it. But that's really how you UV something. When you want to export the wireframe out, you can just do UV shells, select, right click, and go to UV snapshot. So image, UV snapshot. And you can type in or browse where you want your texture to go. You can decide if you want it to be PNG, JPEG. When you want to export it out, you just do apply and it'll export it out. So let's try it out. Documents, I'll just save it here. Do test UV, save, and apply. Now if we go back and look at it in here, I'll have it test UV. And you can see that your UVs are in here. And you can bring it into Photoshop and use it to texture. And if you want to see the distortion, that's pretty important also. You can click here and you can see the distortion in the mesh. So everything seems pretty squared and flat. If you sewed everything up together and you didn't do proper UVs, you'll have a lot of mess ups. As you can see, if you see things like these here, those are big issues. Things definitely to avoid. Definitely not clean and not usable. So let's go through the UV editor real quick. I'll show you some quick tools that are pretty helpful. The flip tool, it can flip the mesh left and right. If it can help with organization. Flip it also vertically. Oh, there you go. There's a scale tool, a rotate tool. It's pretty, straightforward. The move tool you can change. If you wanted to go 2 UV spaces in the back, you can do that. Oh, did it do it? Yeah, so in the back, so it'll be backwards. There you go. But just go with positive numbers. There you go. Left, right, up. You can even jump diagonally. You can also change the pivot for rotation. I usually keep it to center though. This is textile density. This is the size of the UV. If you click here, and you can get the textile density of this UV shell. So you can get it, and it's 13.9. If you go to this one, you can actually project the specific textile density to this one. And as you can see, it's just a little smaller to adjust to it. But usually that difference isn't that big of a deal. I like to work from setting everything together as one size and then doing a UV layout. And that usually gets it close enough. And it gets it pretty close if you look at the squares here. All the squares are pretty similar in size. It can help, but it's not really necessary depending how you UV. And cut, we already went through that. Now cut can create a cut into your UVs, and sew can sew the seams back together. So stitch together, it basically forces one, which is A or B. So let's say that this is A. It'll decide which one's A and B, and it'll move one to the other. So here it moves A to B, and this moves B to A. If we turn off symmetry, and I click here, wait, is it turned off? Okay, there we go. And I click here, it should sew A to B. Let's try it. There we go. It sewed A to B. When I click here now, and I do B to A, it should sew B to A. There we go. Pretty simple. It's very helpful when you don't want a UV shell to move, but you want the other one to be brought to it. Unfold, optimize will usually help distribute your UV space better. So optimize, it kind of evens out the squares a little more. You want to check this form though to see if you like it better. Just because it optimizes doesn't mean it always is better towards what you want it to be. So always check, don't just press it just to press it. Align snap, you can select a poly loop and you can align it so it makes it straight for you. If you want to align everything, you can just start aligning. And it basically just makes it straight for you. Align, you can do it also horizontally. The pictures are pretty straightforward. It takes the lowest point, it takes the middle point, it takes the high point, it takes the right point for vertical, middle, and left. And these are really the only tools you need to know. With that, you can basically UV anything. And that's it for the UV toolkit. I hope this video helped you. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to cover anything else. If this video helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. And have a nice day.